been a while. This is supposed to be a Bloomin Rat update at the end of November, but we can work around that. To be honest, I didn't hit the 25 books. I only hit 10. 5. 2.
That's correct.
3 if you count a manga. 4 if you count the other book. But yeah, it's been a while. I plan to continue Bloomin Rat throughout December. I'll just read, no pressure. So yeah, like I said, I only finished 2 novels. 2 that were on the prompt list. That's fine. I did get a lot of stuff done though. I took a coffee class with a friend. It was pretty fun, although kind of overpriced. Don't think I'll take the next class. I also did my first 2 commissions, All I Ask of You from Phantom. And the second one was Casual by Jesse Barrera. And yeah, those were really fun. TLDR, I suck at vlogging. But now for American Gods. And this book was for the Roots spot, A Return to Your Roots, which is a reread. I first read this in grade 3, but honestly, I don't remember anything. And I've been meaning to reread it for a long time, and I'm glad I did because it's a new favorite. In the sense that I think I'm only understanding it now. I don't know how I would have understood it at grade 3. I don't even know what I liked about it in grade 3. But yeah, look at this. Ooh. So in American Gods, we follow Shadow, this guy who's been in prison for nearly 3 years. His sentence is up, and he's excited to go back home to his wife. But his wife is dead. So he's going home for the funeral. He meets this guy on a plane named 𝙬𝙱𝙬𝙗. And from there on, he's basically dragged into what I would call Percy Jackson, but for adults and way wilder. So it's fantasy, magical realism. This book didn't give me a hard time suspending my disbelief. I really like it when magical realism successfully gets you to reframe reality and makes you kind of just question, what if this was how the real world is? So yeah, like I said, it incorporates many religions, legends, mythologies, also known as religions that went out of style. And content warning wise, just note that there's some adultery, murder, racism, slavery. There's also prostitution. There's like 2 instances, and the first one was on page 30. It's to introduce a character, and I feel like it's also to set up just how wild the book gets. Because up until around page 30, it's pretty normal. But I feel like the book could have still worked without that scene. At least it sets like a consistent precedent for how the whole book goes. The flow of the story is you're following Shadow, right? He's the main character throughout most of the story. But interspaced between that are short, almost independent stories that are basically there to establish more how the gods were created or believed into existence. Like an example of this would be how Jesus in the Philippines is not really Jesus in other countries. With how our culture works, it's not the same as other Jesuses. Other Jesuses? You do. And in this book, you have some old gods and some new gods. And some examples of the old gods that are here are Mr. Nancy, Nancy, like this spider guy. Some from Norse mythology, some from Greek, some from Slavic, some from Egyptian, some from Irish? Yeah, Irish. I also have some examples here of the new gods. The god of technology and the internet. Media, the goddess of television and pop culture. I'll just leave the new gods there because you may be wondering like, that's not that new. But for context, this was released in 2001. You know what else was happening in 2001? It was the year Wikipedia was launched. Wow. Also, the first Harry Potter movie came out.
You're a wizard, Harry.
And Friends was still one of the top rated sitcoms shows. I'm a 2000s kid and I already feel old. But yeah, I don't want to give too much about the book. But to be fair, even if I gave a lot, this book is so long. One last thing I really liked about this book is, well, one of the pet peeves I have with books is if it's really, really good and then the ending is just like Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I really liked the book and then I found the ending to just be But this book, the ending is just, ooh. The ending gave me closure and then more closure. And then at that point I was already okay. But then it gave me more closure and then more closure and then more closure. And I'm just like, there's so many things I completely forgot. It just wrapped it up so neatly and I'm just like, ooh. I was gonna include some memorable quotes too, but then I'd love for it to be more natural if you want to read this book. And that's it for American Gods. The second book was Watch Over Me. And this was from my free space and it was so good. And I'm just so glad I included it at all. So in this book, we follow Mila. She's a fresh grad from high school. She's also finally aged out of the foster system. And so she goes to live on this farm with some other people. And it's a YA contemporary fiction which features trauma and most importantly, survival and tears were shed. I didn't shed tears in A Little Life, but I shed tears in this because Ooh, it's powerful. Some content warnings for this though. There's some abandonment, depression, gaslighting, grief, mental abuse, some physical abuse, and it's pretty heavy, but it is YA, and it is told in a way that is accessible, approachable, and that I think many can and really should read. I found the characters to be really compelling and homey. The book also made me feel less alone. It gave me that feeling of belonging. It even reminded me of this other book, which is also YA, called Memory of Light by Francisco X. Stork. One of the reviews on Goodreads said this book just might save your life, and then when I read it, it did. I really like this book. But honestly, this would have also equally saved my life. My level of appreciation for this is unbounded. While it does tackle trauma, especially in childhood, it also puts way more hope in it. Books like this give me hope. Give me hope that no matter what you've been through, you could be 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, you could even be a senior. No matter what happened in your past, in your childhood, in your teens, in your life at all, there's always hope in addressing it, in tackling it. And even then, no matter what happened in your past, you'll never be rid of it. You'll never just one day be like, okay, fine, I'm done, it's past, it's gone. It'll always be there, but it doesn't have to haunt you. We can still move past it. We can move forward. We still have the rest of your life, no matter how short, no matter how long, to live with more hope. And one last thing about this is that the way it ended, I feel like ended well. A lot of the problems I have with books is the notion of a book ending, be it happy or sad. When it feels like it's a definite end, it just feels wrong. We don't really have endings in real life. This almost felt like listening to a friend and knowing that even though the story here is done, you're still hoping and still caring deep down that they continue to be able to move through life. Just because you can get past trauma in your past doesn't mean that you can completely avoid any bad thing in the future from happening. If anything, trauma tends to breed more trauma, but it doesn't have to. We have a hand in it. The people in our lives have a hand in it. We have hands in other people's lives, and there's still hope. And that wraps up Watch Over Me. Just a few digressions. While looking at this in Goodreads, I decided to stalk the author and just see what other books they have. And I found out they have a book that's gonna be adult contemporary fiction coming out in early 2022. Now I just have so much hype for that, I really want to read it. And another thing is, I don't know why, but Japanese city pop and chill synthwave YouTube soundtracks worked really well while I read this book. Like, I really just meshed with it. And yeah. So that's it for the 2 novels. But like I said, technically I read 3 books. The 4th one was something I had no control over because I was made to watch a video on it. My friend sent me a TikTok about
these big nuts.
Truly philosophical, insightful, one of the bright thinkers of our age today. These Big Nuts was life-changing. You think American Gods was 5 stars? You think Watch Over Me was 5 stars? That was 10 stars. Chef kiss. Another thing that got in the way of me reading novels was manga. And I don't normally read manga, but Blue Period, so good. Art style, it's mainly focused about art and just... Okay, I didn't prepare to talk about Blue Period, but you should read it. I'm definitely gonna try to get a physical copy once the English translations are officially out. But damn, it's so good. Besides that, I watched Arcane. I didn't think I'd watch it, but it's so good. Animation, music, characters, the styling. It has Bioshock vibes, but it also has Dishonored vibes. Victorian, but steampunk, but cyberpunk. The way the animation does emotions, like, it's so visceral. The combat is also so visceral. Each episode is really good standalone with just the right amount of cliffhanger for the next episode. And all of these multi-dimensional characters and the way they grow and the growth. The only problem I had with it is the cliffhangery season end, but I guess that's to be expected. So, I guess to wrap everything up, American Gods, 5 stars. Probably more for mature audiences, but solid read. Watch Over Me, 5 out of 5. Really, really good. So these 2 will be new additions to my favorites pile. These Big Nuts, obligatory 5 stars because I'm at gunpoint. Blue Period, 5 stars for a manga. Cowboy Bebop, 4 stars? Fun watch, you can just breeze past through it. Arcane, 4.5 stars just because of that cliffhanger ending. And then read Memory of Light, pretty good book. If you're 17 or if you're just going through stuff, might just save your life. But then again, watch over me as well. And yeah, if you want to commission anything from me, just drop me a DM. If you want to buy some art prints, you can do that too. My accent is changing at the end of this video, so I will end it before it changes more. And goodbye. See you next week. Hopefully.
Look at his face.
He doesn't